All right, so this is not clickbait. I actually caught a case, a felony charge case, and there was firearms involved. Facts is facts. So let's get into it.
Suspect is in custody.
Right? I know. I done fooled all y'all. Now, I had a good time making my little thumbnail, right? There is no AI. I don't understand AI. I know Sharpie and cardboard. So I did Sharpie and cardboard. All right, that AI stuff, I don't get it. So, oh, goodness, let me get a drink. So, I actually did catch a charge, but it was a long time ago. Chief was barely a chief. I mean, he was in a little baby carrier. I mean, he was teeny tiny. It was, let's see, Christmas season of 1991, Gainesville, Florida. I was, all right, let me start off. Y'all can judge me if you want to, and maybe some of it is justified. But hopefully, if one of us is judged by the worst moments in our lives, all of us are judged by the worst moments in our lives, because this is not something that I am proud of, that I am very sad that happened. But I'm not that feller no more. So I was working a Santa Claus booth. And I'd worked Santa Claus for 2 years up to that. And I was working Santa Claus for the third year as Santa manager, right? I was managing the North Pole, making sure the Santas were there. They got all the stuff they needed, dealing with the money, dealing with deposits, dealing with all that stuff. And before you judge me again, it was fashionable. I had a fanny pack. It was pleather, black, with gold accents. It was fresh. I looked good, right? Anyway, so I was working there, and usually I'll give you the fast story. I give you the fast story. I was managing the place, responsible for everything. At the end of the shift, at the end of the night, I would have to tally up the money and take and make a bank deposit. And the bank was at the far end of the mall parking lot, about, I don't know, quarter mile away from the building, off on its own by itself. And almost always we would have security from the mall take us over there. Well, this security guard didn't care for me. So if I was having to run the money, if I didn't get somebody else to run the money with security because I was doing something else, I had to run the money. Then he, he always was busy. I knew that going into this. It was the day after Thanksgiving, busiest time in the mall, Black Friday. And there was tons and tons and tons of people, as you would expect. And tons and tons and tons of people, um, excuse me, went to see Santa Claus and sit on his lap, which means people took tons and tons of pictures, and we had tons and tons of money. Big, big bank, right? Even back then, 91, big bank in my fanny pack. When I would take drops, I'd put it in my fanny pack until I put it in the bank bag and take it to the bank. Well, 2 days prior to Thanksgiving, I noticed, well, somebody else noticed and pointed out to me that there were some people that were always hanging around and just kind of watching what was going on. And they didn't have kids, and they didn't look like they were there for fun. They looked like they were there, for lack of a better term, casing the place, checking them out and seeing what our systems were. Person told me about it, and I'm like, all right. So I started watching them. And sure enough, it felt like they were casing the place. And I'm like, well, you know what? Everybody knows Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving, is going to be a crazy day. They're going to do something to be that day. and I knew I'd have to make that drop. Now I worked at the hospital. That was my full-time job in surgery, and I happened to be talking to one of the one of the doctors there who actually sold firearms, and he said, "Well, you need your little pistol." I said, "Doc, I ain't got no money." He goes, "Well, I can get you a pistol for $50." And I said, "Well, I don't want to hurt nobody. I just don't want to get hurt." And he goes, "No, I got you." And so it was a little bitty Derringer single shot pistol that you could either put 410 shotgun shell in it with like squirrel shot, rat shot, or you could put a 45 in there. And so I went to the house and I got the squirrel shot because I just wanted to back somebody up. Just single shot just to back somebody up so I had enough time to get away if that happened. And it was small and it fit in that cool fanny pack. Now, don't mince prices on a tattoo and don't mince prices on a gun. Because the way that gun worked is you would cock the hammer back all the way and you would push this button, which would push a metal bar between the hammer and the pin that it was striking. And then you would hold the handle and pull the trigger, and then the hammer would rest on the bar so it couldn't go all the way forward. It sounds great in in uh in thinking about it. So I had my rat shot in my fanny pack, the money in my fanny pack. And I was up at customer service. Remember, the hammer's halfway back over that break, over that bar. I'm up at customer service talking and monkeying around, and I'm twisting and just moving around. And as far as we can figure, when I was twisting and moving around, that fabric had grabbed that hammer back, and then I moved again, and the hammer slammed forward like the trigger had been pulled, and it broke that safety. That safety hit the freaking pin and set off the gun. Pow! In the middle of the mall. Blew a hole in the bag. Didn't blow a hole in the money. Blew a hole in my pants. That freaking big. And so I'm slick. I take the belt off with the fanny pack. Don't know I have a hole in my pants. Put the bag or put the fanny pack in the garbage right there by customer service. I say, don't mess with that. I'll be back for that later. And I started to walk off. And I was just going to disappear real quick. And at least till it died down. And then I heard a lady say, I've been shot. At that moment, at that moment, everything changed. Somebody had consequences for my stupidity. It was stupid. And I needed to do what I could to make the situation whole or the best as possible. And so I went over to her and I said, it was me. Are you okay? And what had happened was, luckily, by the grace of God, the gun was pointed down. So it went down and it hit that terrazzo mall tile. And a little bitty of that shot bounced off the ground and hit her up in her calf a little bit, in the fatty part of her calf. And it hardly even bled at all. Ended up where she didn't have to have surgery. They did an x-ray. It was a steel shot and they said it's not lead. You're going to be fine. We're just going to leave it in there. So she's going to die with that thing in her leg, probably. That was a bad day. The cops knew I was just dumb. They knew I was a good guy. They tried to figure out how to get me out of every charge. Um, inciting a riot, um, menacing a weapon, brandishing a weapon around children, um, discharging, unlawful discharge, unlawful carry, unlawful this, unlawful that, unlawful whatever. And the only one that they couldn't dismiss was the unlawful carry because they didn't have a concealed permit. I don't think I was even old enough. Well, yeah, I was. Barely. I didn't have a permit. I just had too much swagger and stupidity rolling around in my brain. So I won't bore you with the details of my night in jail, which there are stories. If you ever meet me in person, we're hanging around smoking cigars, and you want to waste a half an hour or longer, ask me about those stories and I'll tell you. Um, Court case. Well, the lady was evidently is fine. I kept trying to contact them. I sent them flowers. I just felt so bad. And they actually contacted me and say, please don't contact us anymore. She doesn't want to even think about you. And so there's a person, there's probably a lot of people that that don't want to see me. Saw her husband in court. And he stood there, little man. And he said, so you shot my wife? I said, yes, sir. He said, I ought to punch you in the face. I said, you ought to. I shot your wife. I put my hands in my pockets. If that man wanted to tote me a whooping, I would have stood there and took every last bit of it because I shot his wife. Whether it's intentional or not, I I was owed a whooping. Somebody shot the first lady, boy, I guarantee they're going to tote a whooping whether they say I can give it to them or not. So I understood. And he looked at me and he said, "You just messed up. Please don't contact us anymore." And that was the last I heard of it. Now, little paper said felony. Notice it says felony and not felon. I was blessed that day. Public defender didn't show up. He gave me a brand new public defender. He didn't know my case. And there was a substitute judge, right? Deck stacked against me. And the judge goes, we're gonna break for lunch. Uh we'll we'll come back, but if y'all want to knock out some cases and get this done, we'll work through lunch. And so my public defender decided that he was just gonna go to lunch. And I was sitting there going, I'm gonna take my chances with this dude. I'm gonna, because he tried to extend it. Hey, let's just wait another day. Blah blah. I said, no, I like this guy. Let's go. Um, he seemed all right, old school, and I deserved punishment. I knew it. So I stayed. Public defender came back. He said, "What were you doing?" I said, I'm gonna stand up there and tell him." And he goes, "You sure you don't want to go to lunch?" And I said, "No, I want to get this done. Let's get this done." I was about to puke my guts up. My whole life was in my hands. I mean, I could go to jail forever. I could lose all sorts of rights. I mean, come on. It was a felony. Gun charge in Florida. Sure. And you're running for president or mayor or governor or senator or sanitation engineer. So I said, all right. So I stood up there. And basically it was just I stood up there and I was dressed nice, didn't have on any jewelry. It was clean anyway, button down shirt. Said yes or no, sir, because I watched him talk to other people ahead of time. When they said yeah and nay, nah, he didn't have any of that. He tuned them up pretty good. People had lots and lots of jewelry on, and he said, well, if you can have all that jewelry, you can pay for your probation. I didn't know you paid for probation. Anyway, so I stood up there, and he goes, Mr. Finley. I said, yes, sir. He goes, I read your story about all your charges and this and that, and tell me what happened. And I just honestly said, I screwed up. I just honestly said exactly what was happening. I told him I was scared. I told him I shouldn't have had the gun. I told him that it broke and I didn't have my hand nowhere near it. And it shot that lady. And as soon as it shot that lady, and I shot a hole in my pants. which I kept those pants and hung them up in the hallway of our trailer for years. To every day I'd walk by it to remind myself, don't do something stupid or you're going to shoot your off. Anyway, so after I said everything I said and I'm on my toes, hat in my hand, he said, you know what, you're guilty. Yes, sir. And he goes, but you're guilty of being stupid. And I said, yes, sir. He's right. And he goes, I don't think being stupid should ruin the rest of your life. My ears perked up. What? He said, where's the public defender? Or where's the prosecutor? And somebody stood up and said, they went to lunch. Oh, they went to lunch? Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you a year's probation. Yes, sir. And he said, if you screw up one time, if you do a drug test and you fail a drug test, or if you get in trouble, or if they come to you quit your job, you do anything like that, you even jaywalk, I'm gonna bring you in here and I'm gonna charge you with every charge I can charge you and hit you with the highest fines, the highest everything. Do you understand me? I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he said, all right, let's talk about probation. How much can you pay? And I looked at him and I said, pay? Because he knew I had a young, lovely wife, patient wife, long suffering wife, and a little bitty baby that did pooping and crying all the time. He said, how much you want to pay? Or how much can you pay? And I said, pay? And he goes, well, all right. And he knew the prosecutor wasn't there. Prosecutor, do you have any recommendations as for how much he needs to pay for probation? Nothing? You're saying nothing? Mr. Finley, it's your lucky day. You pay nothing for probation. Don't let me see you in here again. Because I found out later probation could be thousands of dollars if they wanted to hang you up with it. So, for a year. Went through probation. Never missed an appointment. Never got in trouble. Didn't jaywalk. Looked 3 times before I crossed the street. So, mm, mm, sorry. I forgot to tell you. He gave me what's called a withheld adjudication. That means that I do not have a felony charge. I forgot to tell you that. I don't have a felony charge at all. If I would have done anything wrong, it would have reenacted that felony charge during the time that I was on probation. Sorry. It's been a long time since I've thought about this. It has, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. So let my life be a cautionary tale. Stay out of jail. That story's for another day. Not nice. I got in trouble. I got in a lot of trouble. All right. I had a lot of things I was going to say, but I'm keeping it family friendly. So I will see you later. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And by the way, let me find it. We got some killer merch right now. These lighters are amazing. We've got lighters, cutters, Travadors, cigar rests. Go to chevettereport.com, hit the click, and you'll get a link to it, and you'll be able to look at that stuff. Limited quantity. So if you want one, get one. And if not, don't worry about it. But if you do, it's good stuff from Quality Imports. Cigar stuff, paleo stuff. So I'll see you later. It's Bob Cigar Guy saying, smoke easy, semper fi. Fanny packs are cool, but don't carry guns in them. Pay more than $50 for one too. I'll see you later. I love you. Later, Tater.